Still waiting to get that Christmas card, maybe 2 of them? Well, they could be lost in the mail. Why? Because of poor penmanship. Alex Cabrero takes us inside one of 2 facilities used by the U.S. Postal Service to decipher some really bad handwriting.
Every day at work, Holly Apodaca gets to figure out mysteries.
We get the worst of the worst.
And because she's so good at figuring them out, she can do roughly 8,000 mysteries in a single day.
Probably my average is about 10,000 keystrokes per hour.
You see, Apodaca is a data conversion operator at Salt Lake City's Remote Encoding Center. Basically, it's where U.S. Postal Service mail that has terrible penmanship goes to get figured out. The actual envelope doesn't come here, just an image of it, taken from a robot that couldn't read it at processing facilities all across the country.
Without us, all these letters and the other types of mail that we key would have to be hand sorted, which is more time consuming and more costly.
Salt Lake City is one of 2 facilities doing this type of work. The other is in Wichita, Kansas. And boy, there are plenty of unreadable addresses out there.
Right now we're doing between 4 and 5 million pieces a day.
Sometimes it's just the zip code that can't be read. Other times the ink has smeared. But often it's just good old-fashioned bad penmanship.
We're now called scribble specialists. The last 2 months we have become known as scribble specialists.
Close to 1,100 workers decipher addresses here. The facility is open 24 hours a day. They can zoom in on images, rotate them, anything it takes to get the letter mailed.
It is nice if you can actually get it to where it needs to go without having to have somebody else handle it.
Of course, they also know where letters from children, simply addressed to Santa or the North Pole, are supposed to go.
We know to send it up to the zip code in Alaska.